A political firestorm over the California wildfires is blazing hot and shows no sign of tamping down.
Some on the right are blaming California leadership, while others on the left say there's a lot of mis- and disinformation going around.
Let's start with LA Mayor Karen Bass. A new report from the New York Times titled, "Before taking office, LA's mayor said she would not go abroad," details Karen Bass's promise to focus on her city and not travel out of the country as much as she did while she was a member of Congress. In a 2021 interview with the Times, Bass said that if she were elected mayor, quote, "Not only would I of course live here, but I also would not travel internationally. The only places I would go would be D.C., Sacramento, San Francisco, and New York in relation to L.A." The Times continued writing, "A review of her public daily schedule for the past year shows that Ms. Bass has traveled out of the country at city expense at least 4 other times in recent months before this Ghana visit," which of course took place as the wildfires began to rage. One of those visits was to the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum's inauguration. The other 3 were to France for the Olympic Games in Paris in 2024.
Meanwhile, Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is calling out Elon Musk. On X, Newsom posted a clip of Musk talking to a fire command team. The governor said the firefighters, quote, exposed Musk for his own lies after Musk asked the firefighter if water availability was the issue.
Here's a part of that clip.
All right. What about water availability? Was water availability? I understand that was like not an issue in Malibu. Is that correct?
Was it water?
Well, yeah.
So there was water. We have several reservoirs that encinos that we use a lot. Now, just an example, if we have one building burning, we could flow 1,000 gallons a minute on that one building with the hose lays that we put in to stop it. You can imagine 1,000 gallons per house we couldn't do, right? So the amount of water we're flowing, there really is no water system that's going to keep that pace. So we have to bring in water tenders, which are these big tank water tanks that, 2,500, 3,000 gallon trucks, and they'll come in. And that's what we have to do to compensate. So they park out there, do it. DWP did a great job. They brought in big water trucks for us, and we use them as basically mobile hydrants.
In Malibu along the coast, there was no shortage of water. In the Palisades, there was a shortage of water at a certain point. Or is that not accurate?
Well, we were flowing just an amount of water that the system couldn't overbear. That we're just overbearing.
Newsom did order an investigation last week into dry hydrants.
Then, of course, we have President-elect Donald Trump.
Trump last week claimed that Biden had left him no money in FEMA. While FEMA's disaster relief fund did deplete last year, Biden signed a bill to try to replenish it.
A CNN fact check on Trump's claim noted that even if the money might prove to be inadequate, Biden still actively tried to help raise the fund.
Last week, Trump also claimed Newsom failed to sign a water restoration declaration that would have allowed millions of gallons of water to flow into many parts of California. Newsom's press office said that was false, writing at the time, quote, "There is no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. That is pure fiction." The governor is focused on protecting people, not playing politics, and making sure firefighters have all the resources they need.
Trump did try to implement a plan in 2020 to deliver more water to farmers in the Central Valley, but California's AG countered Trump with a lawsuit claiming he was failing to protect endangered fish species. Trump's team says this is what the president-elect was referring to.
CNN's fact check noted that Trump's federal initiative wasn't something for Newsom to, quote, sign.
That sounds like it's starting to get into the weeds a little bit for who's telling the truth, and that, in fact, there was a plan to redirect this water that was scuttled by concerns for this fish. But look, I'm sure exaggerated claims have been made by the people on the right trying to blame all of this on Newsom, and the reverse is also true of Newsom trying to blame like any and all criticism of Democratic administration of the state on like misinformation or things are not being. Look, the fact remains, LA is on fire. Thousands of people have lost their homes. People have died. This is not. We can't just look at this and say, well, what a successful example of good governance. Like this is not good. This was not bad. Now maybe it's not been a catastrophe and they've handled this natural disaster as best they could, but I think you are perfectly fair to say, well, could it have been done better? Could we have had more safeguards in place? And certainly could the mayor of the city have kept her promise to not leave the city except for very important and political relevant trips to DC or Sacramento? She was in Ghana, and she has also traveled despite making that promise. So that seems like not a misinformation to criticize that.
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's misinformation. We're literally just talking about what happened there. I do think that what people are raising is that maybe this isn't the moment to treat this like political football. People are still losing their lives on a daily basis. Thousands more structures are under fire, and even the fires themselves, as we heard, they've made some progress, but now they're really fearful because the winds are going to pick up again, and they expect things to get significantly more worse before they get any better. So I think it's more a question of timing. Universally, I think people of good conscience and logical people would think it's a good idea to look into what actions were taken before, during, and after.
Yeah, the whole don't politicize a tragedy thing. I don't know. It sounds good to me on paper, and I kind of agree with that. And I certainly think just like spouting off about like, oh, was there enough water here? Was there not enough water here before? We don't know. And I also would not just take government officials' word for it that there was plenty of water here and we did nothing right. We did everything appropriately. Like, oh, okay, well, everyone is going to try to cover their own behavior, so let's investigate these things fully. But I'm good with, as people's homes are still smoldering, if we try to have like a loftier conversation, not immediately go into partisan screeching talking points, that does sound good to me, although I don't really think, would you even say that Democrats always abide by that rule when there's when there's a mass shooting or something? They mock Republicans for saying don't politicize the tragedy, right?
Well, absolutely. And I would love the same criticism both directions.
Yeah.
I think it's one thing to say you disagree on a policy basis and to talk about the substantive things that you would want to change, but I think we're really devolving here into a little bit of a playground fight, a cafeteria food fight, and I think the underlying pretext of all that is that everybody's also looking ahead to 2028. Governor Newsom is one of those people whose names have been floated, and I think that there's some other stuff.
Do you think there's really, someone who understands Democratic politics better than I do, I think, is there a genuine appetite for a Gavin Newsom among either grassroots people or is it other people in the Democratic Party or Democratic leadership? I feel like Gavin Newsom is an idea that's been pushed on me by a kind of Democratic-aligned mainstream media, but I could be wrong. But maybe he is a really well-liked figure. Conservatives obviously despise him, and I think would be happy for him to be the standard bearer of the Democratic Party because he is, to our mind, very loathsome. But that might not be how he is viewed among Democrats.
Well, I'll tell you this, Robby. Yeah. 25 years of doing politics and policy, and I can say with confidence it is far too early to actually talk about the field for 2028 and what people are.
No, it's never too early. Are you kidding? That's no fun. What else are we going to talk about? All right. Well, we'll have to wait to see on that then. Stay tuned. More Rising right after this.